Hey, everybody. I hope and pray that you're doing well today. So, we come to our word from the word. And today, that word is stay. Stay. Now, in honor of the kids who are supposed to be going to school today, but many of them got rained out, are praying for all those affected by the hurricane as well. But that picture of that kid, if you notice, got a little stuffed animal. It's probably the one. And this is where I'm going with this. It's kind of probably that brother or sister, right? That's left behind, that the younger one that sees the older ones go off to school, and they're probably begging, mom and dad, I want to go, I want to go, I want to go. Well, it's not your time to go. You got to stay. Now, just even using that along with school starting, just kind of to use that as an illustration, as we come to Mark chapter 5, you will see this passage about this demon possessed man. Yeah, right. I love the very first verse, picks up from where we left off yesterday, said that they reached the other side. Because remember, that's where Jesus said they were going to end up. But then you see that they arrive and they have this demon possessed man that he has supernatural strength. They cannot contain him. Everybody, it fears him and can't do anything with him. And then when Jesus arrives, this man comes running up to him, bows down, and the demon inside of him is saying, "Hey, please, please, what are you doing with us? Please don't send us away." And on from there, find out that his name is Legion because they are many. And through the course of the story, you see that they beg to be sent into the unclean animals, the unclean pigs. Now, this is in a Gentile place, so Gentiles, that they wouldn't care about the pigs. That wouldn't be as particular for them. But the fact they ask to be sent into the pigs instead of destroyed, then they go into the pigs, and all some 2,000 sheep go down. I mean, sheep, 2,000 pigs go down and drown in the water. And it's not necessarily that the demons drown, but that the pigs drowned, and that shows us the selfishness and the um, self harm that demons contribute to. Now, having said all of that, notice that as you read on, you'll notice that the demon possessed man, now the people find him sitting in his right mind, well dressed, everything. He looks normal. And then the people come up and are afraid. They're more afraid of the man Jesus who healed and cast out the demons, and nobody mentions the loss of animal life or the loss of livestock, or any economic impact that would have had. But yet here the people are afraid, apparently, of Jesus. But then notice with the demon possessed man who is now healed, and Jesus is getting ready to leave, gets in the boat to leave, and notice the conversation. And I'm sorry, we're in Mark chapter 5, starting in verse 18. And when he got into the boat, he who had been demon possessed begged him that he might be with him. However, Jesus did not permit him, but said to him, "Go home to your friends and tell them what great things the Lord has done for you, and how he has had compassion on you." And he departed and began to proclaim in Decapolis all that Jesus had done for him, and all marveled. See, the point that I want to make today is that sometimes we have to stay behind. See, this man was so excited about what God had done for him and what Jesus had done for him, that he wanted to go with him. He didn't want him to leave. I mean, you imagine all the pain and suffering that this man had gone through, and all that those demons had done to him, and just the fact that he was still alive was just amazing anyway, only by the grace of God. And so now he comes, and he is so thankful to not be demon possessed, and so thankful to be in his right mind, and so thankful to be changed, and has such a wonderful attitude about it. He says, "My desire is to go with you, Jesus." And you can almost imagine him saying, "Anywhere you go, that's where I want to go." And Jesus says, "No." Now, at first off, we would stop and say, "Wait a minute, why not?" Man, what a great testimony this would be to be along with Jesus. And he could say, hey, here's this man that was demon possessed, but now he's fine. Imagine the testimony that would have been as they traveled around. And that's probably what the man had in his heart, to think, you know what, I can go and I can tell all these other people. And see, there's sometimes Jesus says, stay. Why did he want him to stay behind? Because he says, I want you to go back home. I want you to go to all those who know you well, and they know all the things that have been going on in your life. And they know, they have seen the power of the demons. They have seen the power of the enemy in your life. Go home and talk to them. Go home and tell them everything that Jesus has done for you. Tell them what God has done today in your life. And you think about it, that testimony that man had, see, everybody's testimony is a little different, but the testimony that this man had was going to be more effective with those who knew him. He was more effective at home. He was more effective in his hometown for those who knew how he used to be and could see the change that God had made in his life. So we see that this man goes home and he tells all in the Decapolis, the 10 cities. I imagine how quickly word had spread. And no telling how long this man had been demon possessed, and all the supernatural strength that he had. Probably many people had heard, and word of mouth. We know they didn't have to have social media, and they didn't have to have internet for things to spread like wildfire. They had people, and that spread so quickly. And so he says, Jesus says, I want you to go back and tell all of them. And he does, and he tells them all that Jesus did, and they marveled at him. It whet their appetite to know more about Jesus, to know more about this man called Jesus, who could cast out demons, the man who had power over this legion of demons. He was more powerful than them all put together. You see, sometimes, like that picture that I put up, sometimes we want to go and do like we see others do. And sometimes Jesus says, no, I need you to stay. Some people he has purpose for them to go. Some people he has purposed for them to stay. Some people's testimony is better out on the road. Some people's testimony is better. You think about Paul. Paul, as he went out, he had such a great testimony. He had a great testimony with those that knew him. But as he had this calling of God to go out, that was his mission. And that was his mission field. But others, like this demon-possessed man, his mission field was right at home. Oftentimes, even in mission trips that I've gone on, I hear people say before I go on a trip, they say, well, I don't want to go on a trip. I think we ought to spend that money here at home. We ought to do those trips here at home. We ought to witness to those people at home. I can't disagree that we should do all of that at home. It all starts at home, but it shouldn't stop us from going out. And at the same time, don't just think just because we go out, we can witness there. I've talked to many people on mission fields and mission teams that have gone out, and we all get there and we get convicted about the fact that we'll spread the gospel more to strangers than we will at home. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, the point of all this today, and I'll close our time out for today, we need to be listening to the voice of Jesus. This man's desire was right. His desire was to go with Jesus. But at the same time, he was obedient when Jesus told him to do something that he didn't want to do. He was obedient when Jesus said, stay. Yesterday we talked about being still, and today we talk about having to stay. I guess at the end of it, we're really saying, will you be obedient to the word of God today? God bless you, and I pray you have a great, great day.